So starting at the beginning, ethanol needs to be in petrol under the RTFO, the Renewable Transport Fuels Obligation. That brought in a set of rules forcing countries to adopt a minimum amount of bio content into the fuels they sell. And that again is diesel and petrol. The associated fuels around that, such as gas oil, regularly known as red diesel or heating oil for your home, will now start to contain that because it's effectively a very similar product to diesel and easier to have one standard. Initially, that meant that diesels and petrols had about 4 or 5% bio content, to use a generic term. Now that is nearer 7% typically, and the view, I believe, internationally is to continue to increase that proportion to reduce our reliance on the mineral fuel element and increase our reliance on the sustainable element. So it is the obligation of every oil producer, sales company, to produce documentation to say we are selling fuel with this content. So ethanol has to be in petrol. So you're starting from that premise. Therefore, ethanol is in every forecourt. It would be lovely if there were never any spills. Be fantastic, but the reality is people make mistakes, whether it's putting a diesel nozzle into a petrol car or vice versa, which still happens by the hundreds of thousands a year within the UK, or it's pulling the hose out and accidentally pulling the trigger, or indeed a potential issue with the tanker coming to deliver a bulk fuel delivery. So there are going to be spills. Back to your original question, which is about the regulation around seepage. The regulation is straightforward. You can't pollute. If you pollute, it's your fault and you are liable to prosecution and a fine. The introduction of the environmental damage regulations in recent times means that the fine could be material, because that may include what's called compensatory remediation. In simple terms, that means if you contaminated that area, not only do you need to clean up that area, but almost as a punishment, you may have to now clean up that area too that's unaffected by what you caused. So the risks are quite high. The cost of cleanup is now very material, and indeed any freehold or leasehold premises that have had a spill, contamination, now need to go through some pretty rigorous work to prove it's clean in order for it ultimately to be sold. So there's a regulatory requirement not to pollute, but there are ancillary issues for companies to consider if they don't clean up.